Bright lights, bright lights.
Hi there and welcome to this week's Roslyn Hill Unitarian Chapel Bright Lights. If you have a candle, now is a fantastic time to light it with your friends and family. So we say the opening words. We are the chapel of the open mind, the loving hearts and the helping hands. If you'd like to press the pause to reflect button now with your family and talk about your joys and concerns from this week. It would have been maybe a busy, long week for some of you, an exciting week, but what a difference to be back at school or nursery when you've been at home, learning at home all together. How did it feel? I'm sure there were some joys, lots of joys and some concerns, and I hope you guys are doing really, really well. We continue the theme of commitment, and this week we're going to talk about the Unitarians' commitment, our commitment to change. Things change all the time, even as I speak, things are changing all around me. I can see the flickering candle of the chalice. Things change, they never stay the same. So how do we incorporate that into our faith? Well, the exciting thing is, and the more I learn about being a Unitarian, is that we don't just have one set text, one book about being Unitarian. We as Unitarians look to lots of different religions, and we also look to what's going on around us, and as a faith we are a living tradition. What does that mean? What does it mean to be a living tradition? Isn't tradition something to do with being old and valued? Which of course we are. We are a tradition. But what's a living one? What does that mean? Well, as far as I understand it, it means that we change as things change, and as our appreciation and commitment to change happens. So if something happens in the society, we think, well, how does that affect what we believe in God or those around us and our faith and the certain principles that we live by? And throughout the years, things have happened, like we talked about the Black Lives Matters and dismantling racism and our commitment to that. And actually there's a new principle, there's a new set of ideas that we live by in our faith based on our hope to dismantle racism. Over the years, Unitarians have looked at the texts and the words that they use, and they make sure that they don't just say a man or a woman, they say men and women, and they use words to do with talking about everybody, so including everyone, and not just going on as one ancient text or one book. And I think, personally, I know I'm a bit biased, but I think that's super cool. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a good way to be? To challenge what's there? And you know, there was another reason they thought that nature is such an important part of praying and working with the seasons, that they've actually incorporated the wheel of the year. But it wasn't always such a big part of Unitarianism, but it came about as time went on. People thought, yeah, actually let's take a vote all together. That is something we want as part of our religion and our faith. Maybe have a chat with your family about that. But I think that is seriously cool, and that's really why I like being Unitarian. So I have picked a little story for you all about remembering why it is good to be yourself, and to try not to disguise that too much. As things change around you, as you change, it's okay to be who you are and to show those changes and not disguise your sense of true self, so what you believe. And it's called The Donkey in the Lion's Skin. and I will read it to you now. There was once a foolish donkey who wished he was something else. If only I was a giraffe, he would say. Then I could look over the tops of trees. If only I was an elephant, I could remember where I left things. If only I was a cheetah, then I could run like the wind, or fierce as a rhinoceros, or cunning as a crocodile, or strong as a hippo. Anything was better than being a donkey. Everyone laughed at donkeys, and the donkey didn't like that one bit. One day, when he was walking through the forest, the donkey saw something draped over the branch of a tree. He moved closer, and when he got closer, he could see that it was a lion costume. I'd look good in that, he thought. So he took it, and the donkey put on the lion costume. Wow, how do you think that made him feel, turning from a donkey to a lion? It covered him from head to foot, and the donkey found a pool of water and looked at his reflection. I look magnificent, he said, and he paraded up and down, looking at his reflection from every angle. The massive head of the lion covered his donkey's head, and the lion's golden mane flowed all around his neck. Wow, he must have never had that feeling before. I look like a lion, and now I feel like a lion, he said. No one will laugh at me now. I am the king of beasts. Wow. The donkey couldn't wait to show himself to the other animals. And so he walked up to the giraffe, who was eating the leaves from the top of a tall tree. And she stopped when she saw the donkey and bent her long legs in a curtsy. Your Majesty, she said in a fearful voice. Greetings, giraffe, said the donkey in a deep lion-like voice. Won't you join me for a stroll? I can't today, said the giraffe. I have to get tea for my children. And she ran away as quickly as she could. The donkey smiled to himself, and he saw a hippo in the river, and the hippo bowed his head when he saw the donkey. Your Majesty, he said in hushed tones. Greetings, hippo, said the donkey. Won't you join me in a stroll? I can't today, said the hippo. I have to call a friend who is sick. And he sank into the water out of sight. Inside the lion costume, the donkey was grinning all over his face. He tripped over a crocodile sunbathing on a rock. Your Majesty, said the crocodile, smiling with his teeth on the outside of his lips. Greetings, crocodile, said the donkey. Won't you? But the crocodile had slipped into the water and disappeared. The donkey was jubilant. He wanted to leap up and down with delight. What a marvellous thing it was to be a lion. A lion was admired and feared by all the other animals. He felt like a king. But just then, when he was feeling just like a king, a wily fox came into view. And when he saw the donkey, he turned to run, and the donkey could contain his delight no longer. I am a lion, he thought. I look like a lion. I act like a lion. I feel like a lion. I bet I even sound like a lion. What do you think? Do you think the donkey could sound like a lion? What do you think? and the foolish donkey lifted his head and went to roar, but as he roared, rah, it went hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. The fox stopped in his tracks. He knew that sound. He grabbed the lion's mane and he pulled. Oh, that was quite daring of the fox. The lion costume came off in his hands, in his paws, and the donkey stood there trembling, exposed, and the fox began to laugh. Ha ha ha! So did the crocodile, so did the giraffe, and so did the hippo. If only I had kept my mouth shut, thought the donkey. And the other animals put their arms around him, even though they'd been laughing. And do you know what they said? They said, don't worry, don't worry. We like you just as you are. And they all were together and happy. And then they thought about it and they all hurried away before the real lion came along. What do you think about that? What do you think when he tried to change, but really he wasn't really changing to something that was going to work? His true feelings were he wanted to be accepted, isn't it, for who he was. And actually, at the end of the story, everyone took a stroll with him just as he was and said, you know, they like him just as he is. But it is a story about change, not quite like we were talking about before, but it is an important story about being true to yourself. And he did try a change, but it didn't work, did it? So it was a bit of trial and error. But in doing so, his friends came to realise how important it was to be accepted for him. And well, I think it's a pretty cool story. So I hope you enjoyed it. It felt a little bit like the story from last week when the boy who cried wolf, if he'd just been honest about his feelings, the shepherds would have come to him. The same thing if the donkey had just been honest maybe about wanting to feel like a lion and be accepted, then that would have worked out. So we have one more section and I hope that you have some ice cubes. So I'm going to go and get mine. Hopefully you've got yours too. Did you go and get your ice cubes? I don't know if you can hear mine rattling in there. I know last summer we did a really good session on water and all the different aspects of water. I haven't made ice for a while because I tend to make it in the summer when it's hot outside, but I don't know about you, but there's been some hail here. If you know what hail is, what's hail? It's very icy rain. Somewhere it can be like almost balls of ice from the sky, so it's not like snow, which is soft frozen, fairly soft snowflakes. It's hard ice from the sky, and it usually is short and sharp, so we had it for about 5 minutes. Really nice to make some ice. So what happens to ice when we take it out of the freezer and we put it in the room at normal room temperature? Well, mine's already started because it's quite warm in here. Can you see? It's starting to melt. So it's changing. You can hold it in your hand, it's all cold. In fact, my hands will change from hot to cold. What happens? Does it change again after that? What happens to water when it's all turned from ice to a liquid, from solid to a liquid? We talked about it last summer. It evaporates, doesn't it? And actually the water will return to the air as part of air molecules, as the moisture in the air. And if it was outside, it would go up into the clouds, and the clouds form, and then the water comes back down, doesn't it, again to the lakes and the sea as rain. And if it gets cold enough, it will freeze again. Things are constantly changing in nature and in the sky. So have some fun with some ice and have a think about how things are changing, and have a little feel of, just concentrate on the temperature of the ice. As we move, we're moving from winter to spring. It's a bit like the ice melting. And I've got a lovely meditation story to share with you, which I hope you will find really, really relaxing. I certainly have a commitment, a personal commitment to trying to learn more about how to be a calm person. So I hope this helps, and we're not quite out of winter yet, so I think it's fair to say that a meditation called the Snowman will be okay. So take your favourite blankets or favourite place to sit and get comfy, and I will tell you this story for you, and you can tell me hopefully how you feel after. Close your eyes, be very still, and imagine that you are a snowman standing in the middle of a sparkling, snowy garden. Everywhere you look is covered in crisp, white snow. The sun is shining, making the snow glisten brightly. You are a snowman standing in the snow, with a carrot for your nose, stones for your eyes, and sticks for your arms. You are wearing a brightly coloured hat and stripy scarf. And as you sit there with your eyes closed, you can imagine that as a snowman, can't move at all, you can be as still as you like. Feel as if you are frozen right through, completely stiff. A robin hops along the glittering garden, making tiny patterns in the powdery snow as he bobs along. Suddenly, he flies up and perches on your stick arm. Stay very still as he confidently hops up and down on your arm. And in a moment he takes flight, and off he goes, silently, into the wintry air. You are alone again, and it feels good to be alone in this sparkly, snowy garden. You like being quiet and you like being still. While you are standing in the garden, take a few seconds to feel how peaceful it is on this sunny morning. The sunbeams are casting shadows on your snowy form. You are truly glistening and twinkling like thousands of tiny crystals. Feel the warmth of the sun on your frozen head and body. Very slowly, feel yourself melting. Starting from your head, feel the snow melting and dripping down to the frozen ground. And now, feel your body getting smaller and smaller, delightfully warm and ready to move again. As each bit of snow melts, your body is transformed until there is only a pile of fluffy snow in the middle of the garden. you feel very relaxed and still, no longer a snowman. And now, when you are ready, wiggle your fingers and toes, have a big stretch and open your eyes. I am still. I am still. I am still. Well, I don't know about you, but just reading it and saying these words has made me feel really, really nice. I did like the robin coming to visit and then feeling alone, but feeling very happy alone, just glistening in the garden. Have a fantastic Mother's Day. Celebrate with joy your stillness all together this Sunday, and the fact that each generation and motherhood and the babies and children that come is a new change for each generation, hopefully improving and continuing what the last generation has set out to do, if done with love rather than fear, and to help the world be the best place that it can be for everyone. That hopefully is our commitment for change, and that's something perhaps to celebrate. Maybe think about all the generations that have made snowmen together after that lovely meditation about changing from ice to melting, that feeling of melting. Everything is always changing. We have a commitment to that, don't we? So have a wonderful Mother's Day. Take care, and thank you for joining me on Bright Light. Let's say the closing words. As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness that we learn light our hearts until we return. Let's blow it out all together. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Bye.
Bright lights, bright lights.